This is the Transcend in Life podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson, taking you from fear to freedom.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday tune-up with J.M. and Lisa Ryerson. Good morning, my love.
Good morning.
So this is a heavy subject that we're going to be talking about today, but I think it's something that everyone can deal with. And I really want to make sure that it's okay, right, to let go. So what we're talking about today, so I'm not leaving you hanging here, is regret is a choice. And this is obviously not that easy subject that's like, oh, great, we're going to talk about regret. But it's real, right? And people definitely hang on to things. And I hate watching it because so often it just sends them down that negative spiral for whatever they're regretting. And so they continue to relive it. So before I get into my process for really going through how to overcome possibly regretting something, when I say regret is a choice, what's the first thing that just comes to your mind?
Well, I kind of get like sick in the tummy a little bit when you say that. But it is a choice. And when I think about regret, it's just a negative thing to me. It's kind of, I know that you're working on, to never have regrets, right? And that's awesome. I have a whole kind of different perspective on things as far as, the choices I've made in the past, good, bad, or indifferent. I truly believe that I made them for a reason, right? And I truly believe that things in this world happen for a reason. Now, this isn't a very deep sidebar. It's just a sidebar. Like, for example, I know someone in, very, very sweet girl, but everything is kind of a big deal, right? So for example, if she's running behind, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe my car broke down. My tire, this really happened to her one day. Car broke down, tire went flat, right? And it's like the end of the world. Like, this is how my morning started. Oh my gosh, blah, blah. And it's not really regret. It's just kind of like just negative stuff. And how I've been trying to help her is saying, you know what? There's probably a reason for that. There's a reason for that, because if your tire didn't bust and you were on the freeway, you probably avoided a huge accident. So I create these things in my mind, right? Stories. Amazing with stories in my own brain. But it's kind of one of those things. It's like, if you didn't make this choice to go to this college and end up in this city, right? And you made a different choice, it could have been bad, right? So no regrets. Because I truly believe at that moment you are making a choice. And even if it was a bad choice, it was a choice that you made so you can learn a lesson. That's how I feel about that whole scenario.
No, I totally agree. Look, there is no such thing as failing, in my opinion, because the only reason you would fail is if you didn't learn, right? So specific to regret, do you have any regrets? Because you're right. I choose not to regret anything. That's a choice that I make. And I know when I say that, sometimes you're like, really? But that's how I feel. And that's how I choose to operate. That doesn't mean I haven't learned lessons, but I'm not going to live in the past, right? So do you have any specific that you're holding on to?
Not now, I don't, but I used to, right? There was a time I went to UC Davis for the first 2 years and played tennis there, and then had the opportunity to go to an Ivy League school and play my last 2 years, right? And graduate from an Ivy League school. It was Brown at the time. And I remember that was a big decision for me. Do I go? Right? I have all my friends here in the West Coast. Do I just pick up and leave and go to the East Coast for the last 2 years where this is very comfortable? And I remember looking back going, gosh, I kind of missed an opportunity there. Right? Did I miss out on an opportunity? I could have been on the East Coast, could have had a degree from an Ivy League school. Like, there was all these things, I think, years after I graduated from Davis, we're going, gosh, I could have done that. I could have been on the East Coast, blah, blah, blah. But then I go, but if I did that, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have these amazing children that we have, And so it's like moving forward, then going, gosh, this is what was supposed to happen. Right? There's reasons that you make these decisions. So no, I have no regrets.
I love it. Well, part of what can bring people back to regret, specific to your example, because I have one with swimming versus playing basketball, right? Guys, it wasn't even close. I was a far more gifted swimmer than I ever was a basketball player. But I chose to go play at a small, junior college, barely paid for books, basically was my scholarship versus a full ride in swimming. But I don't regret that for one moment. The only time it'll pop up is when people remind me you could have done this. It's like, yeah, but I didn't. That was the choice. So that's the first step is literally. So if you've done something wrong, apologize and let it go. Learn from it, but do not wallow and sit in that mistake that you made, because what you're doing is you're actually continuing the replay, right? To your potentially negative friend that sits in what you said, the car broke down and then the tire went flat. Well, guess what? Just let that go so you can move on with your day. That's number one, is apologize and let it go. If you've made a mistake, the best thing you can do is just say, I'm sorry. So frequently people will hang on with their ego and not apologize and live with that mistake instead of just saying, you know what, my bad. I don't know. You got any thoughts there specific to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think what happens, going back to, the negativity, or if it's kind of one of those things, it's like, oh, all these bad things continue to happen to me. If you don't let that go and move on and have a positive attitude on it, more bad things continue to happen. And I've experienced that firsthand, right? I'll have something bad happen and it's like, and it's not even the end of the world, right? It could be something super stupid, like spilling a drink in my car or something, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe now it's all sticky. It's blah, blah, blah. It's the worst thing ever. And then it's crazy because the next thing you know, more bad things start happening. And then it's like a bigger deal and a bigger deal. And it's like this horrible big snowball that just continues to grow right down the hill. Where if you stop it right then and there and go, yeah, it's not a big deal, right? And that's where I think I've been working really hard on for the last 5 years. And actually our kids, Trey is phenomenal at this because he'll call me out on stuff all the time. But I make a joke about it, right? Because there's certain things that will happen and I'm like, oh my God, that's so stupid. These are first world problems. First world problems. And so our 11-year-old he'll sit there and he'll go, Mom, first world problem. I'm like, you know what, buddy? You're so right. Like, that was stupid.
Yeah, that kid's pretty wise beyond his years, honestly, because he's always checking us on our stuff. One of the things that Trey does such a great job of is staying present. And that's the second key, in my opinion. If you stay present, and we talk about this idea a lot, but if you're truly present in the moment right now, giving 100%, like you and I are doing this, I'm giving you everything I have and the audience everything I have, not worrying about what happened yesterday or what's coming up in the next hour, but rather being right here, then you can't live with regret. So if you can find a way to truly give your all to this moment, you can't live in the past. And that's where, again, we've talked about this one, past is pain, future's anxiety, present is everything. That's where that saying comes from me. So do you have ways to really make sure you stay present? Because it's so easy to say, stay present, but there's things pulling you back or pushing you forward into the future or into the past. So do you have ways that you stay present?
Yeah. So I think a big one is, especially like when I go out to dinners with my girlfriends or with you, is making sure phones are put away, right? Phones are put away in that, so we are 100% present, like talking to each other, really engaging. Because if we're on our phone, like we're thinking about, oh, what do we have to get done? Or, oh my God, look at this person on Facebook or whatever it is, right? It's so silly. The other thing is I always remind myself, so I could be somewhere and I can think about something that I did in the past, right? And just kind of going, oh, I probably should have done that, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what can you do about it? And that's what I ask myself. Is there anything that you can do about it to change it? No. So there's no point, right? And I know that's hard because I still do it all the time, but it's a work in progress, right? And so I always have to sit there and go, well, is there anything I can do to change it? Nope. All right, moving on. There's no reason.
Yeah, well, I think about the saying days are long, but the years are short when it comes to this subject, and why I'm so militant, I guess, about you guys putting your phones away when we're eating out. This would be a big one for us because I'm looking at it and TJ's 14. Like, I could get into the fact that 4 years from now, he won't be in our house. That freaks me out thinking about that. So I choose not to. I'm going to choose to be with him. So when we are sitting there, I think of it that way. I'm like, look, the days are long. So the easy thing would be, yeah, go ahead and play on your phone. No, man, I want to spend time with you. I want to know who you are as a human being, what's going on in your head. That's why it's so important to me, because I know that, yes, my kids drive me crazy sometimes, but ultimately they're going to be gone in not too long a period. And so I want to soak up the time I have with them now. That's why I'm so, and to anybody that goes to dinner with me, if you see me pull out my phone, like, call me out on it, because I want to be present. I want to give 100% to the people I'm with, the people I'm choosing to be with, right? Why don't you choose to be with them if you're choosing? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, you made all that effort to go out to dinner with somebody, like, be with them. But to your point with the kids, I think, and now here I'm going to go in the future for a second, JM. But I think when I made that conscious choice was when TJ he turned 10. The second he turned 10, one of my girlfriends said, do you realize that we've been with our kids longer than the time we have with them until they go off to college, right? So we've already been with them over half the time. And I'm like, oh, why'd you tell me that? It was like heart-wrenching. Like, why would you say that? And I'm glad she did, because it made me start thinking about the future for a minute and saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to regret missing out on all this time with my son, because everyone tells you it goes by so fast, and holy crap, it does, right? Because I looked at pictures the other day, and 11 years ago, it popped up on my Facebook memories, and the kids were babies. They were like 3 and 1 or 4 and 1 at the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're 14 and 11 now. That's crazy. And so I don't want him going off to college and me regretting, because that is something that I would regret, not spending every quality time with him as I could have while he was home. Because then they're off to college and they get married and then they have their own kids. Right? Yeah,
that's the perspective that, generations before you've been saying, like, it goes fast. Don't blink. I mean, that's the reality. That's why it's so important to spend that quality time with these human beings that you're choosing to spend time with. That's why put your phones away, if you would. And the last one is play full out. This is an idea that came from a mentor of mine, Tom McCarthy, and I think he got it from Tony Robbins, who he grew up working with. But the whole idea is just giving everything that you have, right? Putting yourself in uncomfortable positions that challenge you to grow, because, again, you don't want to regret. So give it everything you have. Don't give yourself that back door or that side door to be like, well, I failed because I didn't give it my all. No, give it everything you have so you don't regret that you didn't. Does that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that would be the third key when it comes to not having regrets, is playing full out. So I don't know if that idea means a lot to you, but that's when I say play full out, that means giving 100%, no laying up, just everything you have. That way you can look back and say, I gave it all I got.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a saying, and I tell my kids this all the time. If you're not going to give 110% to something, don't do it, right? Because it's pointless at the time. I don't care if it's playing a video game. I don't care if it's playing a sport, if it's doing your homework, if it's whatever it is. If you're not going to give it 110%, there is no reason to do it. Like, I just won't even do it. If I know that that's not something I'm committing to and I'm that passionate about, I won't do it.
No, it makes sense to me. And I love that you do that with the kids. So I just want to recap. Regret is a choice, you guys. Let's choose not to. Apologize if you made a mistake and let that go. Be present in the moment, 100% in the now, and playful out. If you try those three things, I don't believe you can live with regret. Hence, hopefully, a much happier place. So I'd like to hear, how people overcome their potential regrets, if you will. Where can they send that to us?
Yeah, email us anytime at info@letsgowin.com. And make sure to check out all of our social media outlets, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Oh, we're Twitter too. I forgot about Twitter. We're tweeting now at Let's Go In 365.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, I really hope you do share it because we love hearing from you guys. You guys bring so much inspiration to us, so I want to thank you for that. The other thing is check out the Champions Daily Playbook. It's on Amazon. It's an incredible tool. I use it all the time. It's just something that you can check in, make sure you're being present, that you are finding the positive triggers in your life. So it's a really easy tool, and it's available to everybody on Amazon, Champions Daily Playbook.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I love it.
Until next week, you guys continue transcending life. We'll talk to you then. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to transcendinglifepodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Transcend in Life podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson, taking you from fear to freedom.